All right, let's take a look. We learned slope so that we can learn this thing right here. Watch. If I had a line, let's put it in a different color. If I had a line like this, and I wanted to describe this line to somebody, I would do it with a name. I have a name for this line, but there's all kinds of lines. These lines could slant this way, and all kinds of different slants, right? Steeper, less steep, this direction, all kinds of different ways. So I gotta be able to explain a line to somebody mathematically. And so what we do is we call it an equation of a line. Do you remember doing this in Algebra 1? Silence. See, that's all I got to do is ask you questions and you'll be quiet. Okay, it's equation of, actually, a line. Equation of a line. And the equation of a line, it describes two things basically about the line. One thing we already learned. We learned it yesterday. What do you think one of the things about this line is being described? The slope. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. So slope is part of it. Okay, so there's two things. There's slope. And there's something else that we haven't really talked about. You may remember from Algebra 1. Does anybody remember from Algebra 1 what the other one is? It's this right here. Look, what axis is this right here? It's the y-axis. Which one's this one? The x-axis, okay? This point is an important point when we graph lines. Okay, it's a point that we can easily use to describe this line to somebody else. Y-axis, and it's where it crosses it, but we have a fancier name for it. No. Get a pencil in your hand and write down this stuff. Okay. You're not going to tell me you're bored, and so that's why you're doing that. All right, that's not going to work. You're going to write the stuff down. Say it. Intercept. Exactly right. Do you remember that? Or you looked in the book?
I said Y-intercept.
Oh, okay. Brooke said it. All right. So it's the Y-intercept. All right. It's called the Y-intercept. Okay. An intercept is where it crosses something else. All right. So here's this line right here, and it crosses the Y-axis at this point right here. All right. It crosses the Y-axis. You see it? This is the Y-axis. That's where it crosses. Now, it also has an x-intercept, doesn't it? But for some reason, on this equation that we're going to learn today, they really don't even deal with the x-intercept. There is another equation that will deal with the x and the y-intercept. We are not going to learn that, okay? Maybe when you get to upper level, not really upper level, but a little bit higher level math, you'll learn that. But today, all we're going to talk about as far as this line is the slope of the line and where it crosses the y-axis, which is called the what? The y-intercept. Now, we have a way to describe this equation of a line. This is how we do this. Are you watching? We write y equals. Do you remember this? M, that's the slope, x plus b. All right? Now, remember yesterday we talked about slope is the m. So m is the slope. B is the what? Here's the two things. So m is the slope. What do you think this is? The y-intercept. That's right. Okay, the m is the slope, the b is the y-intercept. You think, well, why in the world did they pick b? That's kind of dumb. Well, the reason they do that is because in other equations, listen please, in other equations, they use a to represent, what do you think? Yeah, what was this, the x-intercept? Yeah, they use a to represent the x-intercept, so guess what they use to represent the y-intercept? B. Does that make sense? All right. So in this particular formula right here, this equation, we're not going to worry about the a. We're only going to worry about the b, which is the y-intercept. Make sense? Only the b and the what? The slope. So if I know the slope and I know the y-intercept, I should be able to graph a line for you. Okay? Make sense? We have a special name for this. Put this in a box so you remember it. You have to memorize that right there. We have a name for this, and since we have a slope and since we have an intercept, guess what we're going to call this form of this equation of a line? The slope-intercept form, exactly. The slope-intercept, I'll shorthand intercept, is that all right? Just INT? Form. Okay, the slope-intercept form. That's what we call this thing right here, y equals mx plus b. Now, there's another equation that we're going to learn, and yep, we're going to learn it today. But this is the one that you're probably more familiar with. That's why I wanted to start with this one. Do you remember this from Algebra 1? Y equals mx plus b? Yeah, I heard some of you guys whining about it. And that's usually, unfortunately, it's usually the case when I introduce this. Oh, yeah, I remember that stuff. I hated that stuff. That's usually the comments that I get. But hopefully we'll change that in this class. You've already done this in Algebra 1, so this is kind of review, but I'm teaching it just like you never saw it before. Okay, so if you never saw it before, hopefully you'll get it now. And if you did see it before, hopefully it'll reinforce what you learned last year. All right? So there we go. That's slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Let's talk about the other form. Not the slope-intercept form, but there's another form that we're going to do. So let me get rid of all this mess first. Okay, we got it. We're going to learn another form. So we learned the slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. We're going to do some stuff with that in a little bit here. Okay, I'm just introducing this stuff to you right now. Okay, and then there's another form. Let's do this in a different color. Let's go with this nice blue. Probably won't look any different to you on the screen, but it's blue. So here's another form, and it's called the point-slope form. Point-slope form. And there are reasons why you'd want to use either the point-slope form or the slope-intercept form, depending on the information that they give you. And on a quiz or a test, they may ask you to put it into either point-slope form or slope-intercept form. So you have to know the difference between both of these forms. So this is not just, I mean, the slope-intercept form, remember we had it right here, it crossed right here. That was a point, wasn't it? All right, but this could be any point on the line at all. So if I had a line, let's draw another line. We'll do it back in red again. I'm just going to draw some, I'll draw it about like that, okay? Here's a line right here. The slope-intercept form talks about that particular point right there. But this form right here, the point-slope form, could talk about any point on this line. For instance, let's say this point right here. Okay, it could talk about any of the points on this line, but it also talks about the slope as well. So the point-slope form is going to be written like this. It's y. Now, that particular point, what we're going to do, we're going to call that point x1. What do you think? y1. Okay, so the point-slope form is this. It's y minus y1 equals m. What's the m stand for? The slope, x minus x1. So this point right here, if I'll tell you what, let's just go ahead and figure this out. Let's get rid of this mess right here. What is this point right here? You could count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So the point is 4, 3. What's another point on this line that I know? Looks like this one right here, doesn't it? Okay, what would that point be?
1, 2, 0.
1, 2, 0? This would be 2, 0. You go in the x direction first. This is 0, negative 2. So you go 0 in the x direction, you go down 2, so it's 0, negative 2. Right? All right? So there's our 2 points. Now watch what we can do. We can actually find this, can't we? We could graph it, you know, and count if we wanted to, or let's do it the way we just finished talking about. Let's find the slope. What's the slope between these 2 points?
Well, let's figure it out.
3 minus negative 2.
So what do we do? Yeah, 3 minus negative 2. Good. Right? It's changing y, we're changing x. It's the, you subtract the y's, so it's 3 minus negative 2 over what? 4 minus 0. 3 minus negative 2 is what? 5, because that's a plus. 5 over 4. So the slope of this is 5/4. That's not what they ask, though. They say, write this equation, or write this line right here in point-slope form. Well, there's my slope. What point do I use? Do I use this point, or do I use this point? It doesn't matter. Any point. Listen, the point-slope form means this point could be any point on this line. All right? I know this point. I know this point. I don't know. Like, do I know exactly like where that point is right there? Nah, you don't, because you'd have to kind of guess, wouldn't you? All right? So I don't see any other place on here, do you, where I really know exactly where the points are? Not really. So what I can do is this. I can just say y minus y1. I could pick either one of these points. Which point do you want to pick? Let's pick this one. Okay? So y minus what? The y1. Which one's the y1 here? 3. So I go y minus 3 equals m. What did I just figure out the m is? 5/4. And then in parentheses, and then x minus x1. Do you see this x and the y just stays the letter x and y? It's the x1 and the y1 you put numbers in for. All right, so it's x minus, 4, because x1 is my 4. And that would be this equation in point-slope form right there.
So that's the answer?
That would be it, yeah. It is. Exactly right. You take any point. But look, the thing that's a little bit confusing, I'm going to put an or here. You could write it like this. Remember we picked 4, 3? Remember I said you could pick any point on the line, couldn't you? You could pick that one if you wanted to. So watch. Y minus what? Negative 2, which is y plus 2, isn't it? Because y minus a negative, minus a negative is plus, equals what? 5/4 x minus what? 0. Do you really even need it? I'm not solving for anything. I'm not solving for anything. All I'm doing is putting it. Now look, the crazy thing about this is this. Both of these equations right here represent the same exact line. All right? Isn't that weird? Yeah. I was thinking about going a step further. I'm not going to confuse you anymore. That's good enough right there. Okay? So watch this. Let's I think we've done enough with the point slope form. Now what they're going to do is this. They're not necessarily always going to give you a graph. Remember on that second section that you did yesterday on the slope stuff? What'd they do? They just gave you a couple points, didn't they? So this is what they could give you. I'm just going to make this up, okay? They're going to say find the equation of line, or write the equation in line in point slope form. In point slope form. And watch, they give you a point. I'm just making this up off the top of my head, okay? Let's say negative 3, 1. All right? They give you a point, and they give you a slope. Slope is, I don't know, again, I'm just making that off the top of my head, 2/7, all right? Make it crazy looking. And they ask to take this information and put it into point slope form. This is really, really easy. I promise you it is, okay? You don't even have to do any math at all. Go ahead, Azaria, tell me what it's going to be. Y minus 1 equals 2/7, parentheses. Right, x minus negative 3, right? It's minus negative 3, which is the same as plus 3. And there you go. You're done. I told you. For that kind of problem, if they give you a point and if they give you a slope. What if they didn't give you the slope, but they just gave you 2 points? Then you got to find the slope. Okay, you find the slope, and then you do the exact same thing. Does it matter which of those 2 points you put into it? No, it doesn't. You pick either one. Because there's possibility of one answer or another answer, right?
What did you say if they give you a what?
If they give you 2 points, right? Like right here, I gave you a point and a slope, didn't I?
Yeah.
They could just give you a point and another point, but you'd have to find the slope. This is about as easy as it gets, this one right here. You got it? All right, let's go back to the other form. What was the other form called? Slope intercept form. Let's go back to that and let's do one with that or not. Okay, here's a let's go here. Oh, how did that go to 3 points? Okay. They're going to give you 2 points. 0, 3, and negative 2, negative 1. I'm taking this straight from the book. It's an example, example 3. All right. They give you 2 points, but they want you to write the equation of this line. Because if I graph these 2 points, I'd make a line, wouldn't I? I want to find the equation of that line, which means I want to find the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, so I could find, what can I find first? The y, or the slope, right? Find the slope. So let's do that real quick, and then we'll go to the other video. So find the slope. Change in y over change in x. All right. So it's, well, it's not negative 3. Did you say negative? 3 minus negative 1, and it's 0. Right, minus negative 2. We'll do the plus in a second, but you're right. You're absolutely right. Okay, so minus and negative is plus, so that's what? 4. And that's a plus. What's that? 2. What's your slope? It's 2. Let's finish on the next video, okay?